Mr. Secretary General of the Community of Democracies, Madam President of the CNDH, Mr. Secretary General of the Rabita, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by thanking you for your participation in this global conference organized by the Community of Democracies and its Moroccan partners, which is part of our joint project to highlight good practices in the prevention and countering violent extremism through inclusive democratic participation. Inclusive democratic participation presents today not only a tool for the promotion and improvement of democracy, but also a tool to prevent and counter violent extremism. Today, more efforts are needed to strengthen cohesion and help local actors build resilience in the face of conflicts and divisions. Creating such an environment for empowerment and inclusive democratic participation gives young women and men the opportunity to become active global citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, countering violent extremism is not enough. It must also be prevented. This can be achieved through several prevention tools, including promotion of human rights, the strengthening of dialogue across borders, the empowerment of young women and men, and the promotion of education. It is precisely for the youth that the risk is the highest, as the prime targets of recruitment strategies. They too are victims of extremist violence. In the face of such threats, security responses are insufficient and will not address the many underlying factors that fuel violent extremism and lead youth to join violent extremist groups. We need also the soft power of education. Most importantly, we need quality education that is meaningful, inclusive, and equitable. Violent extremism exacerbates the problems of governance and inequalities that are already present in some countries and societies, and which is why it is necessary to integrate a gender perspective into initiatives to prevent violent extremism. Today, the place of women in peacekeeping and the prevention of violent extremism is crucial, and we must count on their full participation in the decision-making processes related to security. For their part, social media plays a key role in preventing violent extremism, especially for youth. That's why effective actions need to be taken, both online and offline, to prevent and counter violent extremism and radicalization on the internet. This includes helping to develop arguments to counter extremism content online, fight hate speech on the internet, and build the capacity of relevant actors to develop innovative responses, all while promoting the protection of freedom of expression, privacy, and other fundamental freedoms. Ladies and gentlemen, aware of the real danger of violent extremism, the Kingdom of Morocco has put in place an ambitious strategy to counter and prevent this threat, which has contributed in the medium and long term to an inclusive democratic participation. Under the leadership of His Majesty the King Mohammed VI, Morocco has made the consolidation of democracy, and more particularly inclusive democratic participation, the foundation for building a modern and democratic society. The Kingdom's deep conviction is that there can be no development without stability, and no stability without democracy. The multiple reforms engaged within the high vision of His Majesty on the constitutional, legislative, and regulation levels all converge towards the realization of an inclusive democratic participation, more particularly of women and youth, and this on the basis of the common ground of international instruments of human rights. Today, our country is in the process of finalizing its first national action plan on women, peace, and security in application of Security Council Resolution 1325 and on the basis of an inclusive and participatory approach involving all the stakeholders. More than just a box to check in the list of obligations arising from this resolution, this National Action Plan intended to be a real tool for transformation aimed at catalyzing efforts to strengthen women's resilience in the face of emerging threats in an increasing complex regional and international environment. This action plan will serve as a framework for the convergence of national policies in the thematic areas of preventive diplomacy, mediation, peacekeeping, promotion of a culture of peace and equality, and women's economic participation. Ladies and gentlemen, Morocco is recognized worldwide as an important contributor in the fight against terrorism and the prevention of radicalism. As such, Morocco has co-chaired the Global Counter-Terrorism Forum, GCTF, with the Netherlands since 2016 and was re-elected in 2019 for a third term alongside Canada for the period 2022. His Majesty has established in 2015 the Mohammed V Institute for the training of imams, which provides religious training to about 1,000 religious attendants from different foreign countries every year, with the objective of countering extremism drift through a better knowledge of the practice of Islam. Finally, the opening in Morocco of the UN Office for Counter-Terrorism and Training in Africa on June 24, 2021, is a continuation of the efforts made by our country to create a dynamic and advanced training program on the counter-terrorism, law enforcement, border security management, prevention of radicals, and human rights in the fight against terrorism. This dynamic process of human rights and democracy reforms, led by Morocco, continues to help prevent violent extremism and radical narratives. The Kingdom of Morocco sees the opportunity of being a member of the community of democracies to share its experience in the field and to exchange with other member countries through workshops, meetings, and conferences, including this one today. I thank you.
لا تنسى الاشتراك في القناة وتفعيل زر الجرس ليصلك جديد الفيديوهات من هسبريس.